constant hustle and bustle of modern life, it can be incredibly challenging to find moments of tranquility, presence, and purpose. We spend so much time multitasking, jumping from one thing to the next, that we often lose touch with the present moment. This constant state of distraction and preoccupation wears us down over time, leading to stress, anxiety, and even burnout. But there is an antidote to the frenzy of modern life. Mindfulness offers a way to infuse our days with meaning, gratitude, and a sense of inner peace. It means observing your thoughts, emotions, and experiences without judgment. Mindful living allows you to gain perspective, respond thoughtfully rather than reactively, and unlock greater empathy and compassion. So, how can you tell if you're on the rewarding path of mindful living? Here are 10 clear signs you're on the path of mindful living. Present moment awareness. The foundational pillar of mindful living is present moment awareness, the ability to be fully engaged and immersed in the here and now. Mindfulness begins with the simple yet profound act of paying attention on purpose, without judgment. This means noticing the sights, sounds, smells, tastes, and tactile sensations happening in this moment. Really savoring sensory experiences is key. Mindful people relish the burst of sweet tartness when biting into a ripe peach or the warmth of the steam rising from a cup of tea. They feel the sun kissing their skin or the breeze caressing their faces. Getting lost in such sensory delight helps anchor the mind in the present. Beyond the senses, mindful individuals cultivate awareness of their moment-to-moment thoughts, emotions, and bodily sensations without analysis or criticism. They simply notice feelings and mental states as they shift and flux. Mindful people value each moment as a unique opportunity. Whether washing dishes, sitting in traffic, or playing with a child, they infuse presence into their actions. No moment is too mundane for full engagement. This transforms seemingly routine daily experiences into something meaningful. If you find yourself seeking out inspiration in the ordinary, delighting in the sensorial, and leaning into the full spectrum of each moment's experience, you're definitely on the path of mindfulness. Conscious breathing. Breath awareness is a vital skill and one of the core pillars of any mindfulness practice. Conscious breathing anchors us in the present while inducing relaxation. It's simple yet incredibly powerful. Tuning into the breath interrupts our non-stop mental chatter. The mind has a tendency to get caught up in reliving the past or anticipating the future. Conscious breathing helps short-circuit this tendency, bringing us back to the here and now. Beyond quieting the mind's turmoil, mindful breathing also reduces stress and cultivates inner peace. Taking slow, deep breaths stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system, sometimes referred to as the rest and digest system. This triggers feelings of calm and contentment. As your mindfulness practice deepens, you gain awareness of the nuances of breathing. The delicate pause after the inhalation and exhalation becomes a cherished sacred space. The flow between breathing in and out reveals itself as a hypnotic cycle full of beauty. Mindful people don't just breathe to stay alive. They engage in conscious breathing as a way to come home to the present moment, relieve stress, connect with themselves, and find serenity amidst the rush of life. If you notice yourself taking time to follow your breath, savoring the ebb and flow of inhalation and exhalation, it's a clear sign you're integrating mindfulness into your daily life. The breath is always there to anchor you in the now. Non-judgmental observation. A critical aspect of mindful living is cultivating non-judgmental awareness. This means observing your moment-to-moment experience without immediately analyzing, criticizing, or forming an opinion about it. Instead of classifying thoughts and emotions as good or bad, we simply acknowledge them with openness and curiosity. For example, When noticing a feeling of irritation arise, the mindful response is to say to yourself, I notice a feeling of irritation is present. There's no follow-up judgment that irritation is a negative emotion that needs to be suppressed or changed. Through non-judgmental observation, we learn to separate our experiences from our interpretations of them. This frees us from being so emotionally entangled in our inner world. We gain the perspective needed to respond thoughtfully rather than just react. Developing non-judgment paves the way for greater compassion towards ourselves and others. We understand that all humans have a complex inner world colored by a spectrum of emotions. This motivates us to approach our own imperfections and the flaws of others with patience and loving kindness. So if you find yourself catching your thoughts and feelings without immediately judging them, this signifies your mindfulness practice is blossoming. You're peering into your inner landscape through the lens of compassion. Gratitude practice. Our minds have a natural tendency to zoom in on problems and tune out the positive. Many of us spend more time focused on what's wrong than appreciating the blessings in our lives, which are often hiding in plain sight. Mindfulness helps counter our negativity bias by sharpening our ability to recognize the little graces and gifts that fill each day, if only we remember to look. When you notice yourself feeling grateful for your morning coffee, the smile of a stranger, or the warmth of the sun, that's a sign that mindfulness has opened your eyes to the extraordinary beauty of ordinary moments. Gratitude and mindfulness are reciprocal. The more mindful we become, the more we appreciate the little things. And the more we appreciate life's everyday blessings, however small, the more we awaken from the trance of taking things for granted. Regular gratitude practice, such as keeping a journal where you log a few things you're grateful for every day, is a simple yet powerful way of sustaining mindful living. So if you notice yourself regularly counting and celebrating your life's gifts, from the monumental to the mundane, know that you're firmly walking the mindful path. Intentional listening. Mindful communication begins with intentional listening. This means paying full attention to what the other person says without thinking about your response. Rather than filtering their words through your own opinions and agenda, you set those aside to truly hear them. Mindful listening requires tuning into all the nuances of communication, the tone, nonverbal cues, silences, and emotions conveyed. You absorb the full meaning being transmitted. This fosters a greater understanding between you and the speaker. They feel valued when you focus wholeheartedly on their words without judgment. In turn, you gain deeper insight into their perspective when you listen attentively. Mindful people know that being heard and understood is one of the greatest gifts we can offer each other. It's a way to profoundly honor someone's humanity. Additionally, intentional listening helps you have more meaningful dialogues. When you listen deeply first, your responses become more thoughtful, compassionate, and attuned to the context of the conversation. So if you notice yourself fully engaged in conversations, responding to what someone says rather than just waiting to talk, celebrate your mindful listening skills. They will enrich all your relationships. Mind-body connection. Mindfulness cultivates greater attunement between your mind and body. This means listening to your body's signals, nourishing it well, moving it with awareness, and treating it as a beloved companion on your journey through life. Mindful people honor their body's promptings. When exhaustion creeps in, they rest. When tension builds, they stretch. They attune to cycles of energy, creativity, and alertness, respecting when it's time to slow down or leap vigorously into action. They nourish their bodies with wholesome, energizing foods while minimizing unhealthy habits that undermine well-being. Meals become meditations, emphasizing gratitude and the delight of flavorful nutrition. The mindful also embrace movement that aligns with their body's needs, perhaps walking, dancing, doing yoga, or getting a massage. Exercise is not viewed as a chore, but rather as a joyful opportunity to de-stress and feel at home in your body. This sense of embodied presence extends to all aspects of life. Whether cooking, gardening, making love, or engaging in a hobby, the mindful inhabit their bodies fully, moving with care, creativity, and alignment. The dance of body and mind unfolds in exquisite, conscious harmony. So if you find yourself more attuned to your body's wisdom, greeting its needs with care and enthusiasm, you're well along the path of integration between mind and body, a key component of mindful living. Purposeful silence. In a busy world overflowing with noise and stimulation, mindful people regularly unplug to cultivate silence. They carve out periods of quiet contemplation as an anchor for the soul. Silence is not just an absence of sound, but rather its own rich experience. The mindful learn to rest in wordless tranquility without depending on external noise for stimulation. In the stillness, they connect with inner sources of peace, insight, and renewal. Layers of mental chatter and judgment thin away, enabling greater consciousness. A vibrant world of eternal wisdom, intuition, and clarity emerges. Mindful people appreciate silence as a canvas for self-inquiry and discovery. Moments of quiet contemplation spawn breakthroughs and creative inspirations that get buried beneath life's usual din. Even a few minutes of silent mindfulness meditation enhances focus and morphs our perspective. The mundane details of life seem less significant, overshadowed by a broader awareness of meaning and connection. When we stop actively engaging with external stimuli, inner dimensions of ourselves become more visible. Practicing silence gives us the space to know ourselves and the world more deeply. So if you feel called to regularly unplug, value stillness, and drink from the well of inner quiet, know that this marks a milestone on the path of mindfulness. In silence, you hear the whisperings of timeless wisdom. Detox from digital overload. In today's digital age, taking regular and intentional breaks from our screens and devices is essential for mindful living. Time online offers many benefits, but also risks becoming addictive and overwhelming our attention. Mindful people recognize when digital engagement comes at the cost of real-world relationships and immersion in life's physical beauty. They witness how constant notifications and emails distract from the present moment. To counter this, they build in tech-free stretches throughout the day to relax their minds. They protect spaces and times for their loved ones that are completely screen-free, such as shared meals. They take mini social media and news sabbaticals to reset their perspective. Making consciousness around technology use prevents our devices from controlling us. The mindful remember that, while powerful tools, our gadgets should serve human needs rather than drive them. Certain digital boundaries support balance, presence, and wise engagement. So if you find yourself proactively monitoring your tech use, setting healthy limits, and prioritizing real-life experiences, pat yourself on the back. You're exhibiting maturity in the digital dimension of the mindful path. Awareness of emotions. Mindfulness involves cultivating emotional awareness, the ability to recognize your feelings in the moment without being overwhelmed by them. This requires honing your ability to monitor the emotional climate within yourself. Mindful people notice the sparks before anger ignites into rage. They identify sadness before it amasses into depression. They can read their emotional state based on body sensations, thoughts, and subtle cues. Developing an internal radar for emotions allows you to respond thoughtfully to them rather than just react. Perhaps anger signals a violated personal boundary to gently assert. Or sadness means you need more self-care and rest. While the mindful feel emotions intensely, they don't let them take control. Mindfulness grants the body the space to process feelings before taking action. Emotional wisdom also enables greater empathy for what others experience. Living mindfully requires breaking free of the myth that emotions must be suppressed or avoided. All feelings provide vital data and meaning, yet they become constructive rather than destructive when observed through the lens of mindfulness. So if you find yourself acknowledging and understanding your rich inner world of emotions while not being ruled by them, you've unlocked a key component of mindful living. Your feelings become your allies rather than adversaries when greeted with mindful acceptance. Embrace impermanence. A life lived mindfully is a continuous dance with impermanence and change. Everything arises, evolves, and ultimately dissolves: relationships, life circumstances, emotions, even our sense of self. Yet most people exist in denial or resistance to the truth of impermanence. We desperately grasp after permanence, clinging to youth, relationships, titles, possessions, beliefs, and identities, hoping to make the fleeting endless. But this causes suffering. In contrast, mindful people make peace with life's inescapable nature of change. They relax their grip on the illusion of permanence, opening up to existence as a dynamic process. This acceptance liberates immense energy once spent trying to fossilize the fleeting. There is freedom in recognizing each moment as unrepeatable and unique and letting go when it's time. We should stop taking life so personally. The mindful also understand impermanence as an opportunity for growth. All endings contain new beginnings, since no state is static forever. With an openness to change, we can continually evolve and expand. So if you find yourself embracing life's ever-changing nature, you're well on the mindful path. Saying yes to impermanence allows you to flow gracefully with life's currents rather than exhaust yourself paddling upstream. Change becomes an ally rather than an adversary. Conclusion. As you continue the journey of mindful living, you'll recognize these 10 signs emerging in your own life in various ways. There may be times you feel like you've regressed when old habits seem to pull you back. But gradually, mindfulness reshapes your brain in ways that reinforce presence. Mindfulness is revolutionary in its ordinariness. Each mindful breath, each present moment noticing, plant seeds that, over time, yield an extraordinary harvest of wisdom, compassion, and purpose. When you feel even glimpses of these 10 signs arising, celebrate your progress while also understanding that the destination is the journey itself. The present moment awaits, ripe with possibility. Step into it boldly, infusing your days with vibrant awareness. Inhabiting life mindfully is the greatest adventure.